If you've ever wondered what the heck you actually said at the end of that party,
or wanted a do-over button for those cringe-worthy encounters,
then you've experienced what we call the joy of awkwardness.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Bree.
And we're here to celebrate the awkward.
Embrace the awkward.
And remind you of one important thing.
You may be awkward,
but you're definitely not alone.
Well, that was awkward. Hi, Mendy.
Hello, Bree.
I am so excited for today because I get to hear an awkward story from you.
Yes. All right. So this is an awkward situation. I know you found yourself in, and I bet you our listeners have too. And it's come up a few times for me recently, and that's when you're asked to do something that you don't want to do.
Oh, that's like everything.
Yeah, right. And look, the day-to-day or weekly, your girls are like, hey, do you want to go to this concert? You could say, no, I don't want to. And when you get to be really good friends with people like you already know what not to invite me to. Right?
Or you do a courtesy invite, and with the courtesy invite, you say, I have no expectations for you to come to this. I'm just letting you know so you're not offended that I didn't invite you.
And
right.
I put a laugh emoji on it.
Right.
And don't say anything else about it.
Exactly.
Don't invite me to anything. Don't invite me to anything that's a circle. Women's circles, knitting circles. I'm not going to do any of that. But I've had situations where it was something where the other person considered it an honor, and I thought it was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, I don't want to say the specific situations, but if somebody's like, oh my gosh, it is my daughter's graduation, and I would love for you to do the flowers for the party.
Right.
What an honor. No, I don't want to do that. So I have no problem saying no to stuff, but I find that it's really, really difficult when it means the other person thinks it's a real treat for you, and you're like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. So, and I have a friend, we have a friend who is radically honest.
Yes.
And has told me before, just speak your truth. Tell them, no, that does not sound like fun for me, but I find it hard to shut those invitations down and not want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
I find it incredibly awkward, an awkward situation to be in.
So what do you do?
I schedule something else on the same day and pretend it was already scheduled. I just get out of it. What do you do?
It's tricky, Mendy. I have a real people-pleasing, we both do, but I have a real people-pleasing part of me that used to say yes to a lot of things, and then I would do it because I said yes to it and I resented it. Until I would burn out, and then I would bail on everything. And then a couple of years ago, I really started doing this thing where I got very, very selective with the things that I say yes to. And I just really started telling people I don't have the bandwidth. That's what I say.
Oh, that's
a lot.
nice. Bandwidth.
This sounds amazing. What a great thing you're doing. I'm so excited that you're doing that. I don't have the bandwidth to be a part of that because that's the truth.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel like, because I used to do like what you're doing a little bit, right? With like, oh, I have a thing.
Yeah. And especially when, I don't really have a thing. I just really don't want to do it. I guess that can still be under the category of bandwidth and still be the truth. I don't have the bandwidth in that I don't even want to think about doing that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you are so talented and desirable that people want you to do things that you don't want to do. But babe, that comes with the territory. I'm so sorry.
I tell you what.
All right. So do we have a listener story this week?
Yes, we do. A very exciting one, Bree.
Ooh.
Today's story comes from Andrew, who is in his mid-20s at the time of the story. It's 1985, early autumn, and he is about to meet up with his old college buddy, Gary, to head off into the American West for an epic adventure in the great outdoors.
Ooh, I'm going to love this one.
Yeah, you are. They're both in transitional stages of their lives right now.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I've stayed in that stage. Gary has just quit his job to move from Pasadena to Phoenix because his lady friend was moving there. And Gary actually told Andrew, a good woman is harder to find than a good job.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Andrew is living in the small Illinois town he grew up in. Post-college, he'd been partying hard and getting into some scrapes, and in his words, he had gotten to a pretty degenerate place and was on the other side of a real alcohol and drug-saturated state. He'd reached the point where he knew he had to get those dopamine hits from a different source, so he'd been cleaning up his act. He started bicycling, did some mini triathlons. It seemed the perfect time for a grand hiking and canoeing tour of the Wild West.
Sounds like healthy choices.
Yes. That's what I always tell Leander when he goes out. Make healthy choices. That's the best I can do. And Bree, this trip is full of hijinks and foibles from the very start. Like, he got the money for the trip by selling his little pickup truck. And the sale actually wasn't fully completed until the morning of the trip. He got the cash, rode his bike out to find a car he could afford, bought it, threw all his shit in it, and headed to the airport to pick up Gary.
That makes me so anxious.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm always ready to fly out days before, wearing my airport outfit, bags packed, passport tucked in my bra.
So was the airport in Illinois?
Actually, it was in Denver. He had to drive all the way to Denver to pick Gary up. So Andrew was very late, and there were no cell phones, of course, back then. But Gary took it in stride. When he got off the plane, he unpacked his gear and set up a little camping outpost on an island between a couple of entrance ramps and just hung out for a few hours. Andrew gets there, and finally, their epic adventure begins. They make their way through Colorado and on up into Lander, Wyoming.
Ooh, I've been to Lander, Wyoming. That's where the rails end and the trails begin.
Is that their motto?
Yes, that's the town's motto. Do you know what the Wyoming motto is?
No.
It's equal rights.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know.
Do they mean it?
Well, I think they mean it for cowboys. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Go Wyoming.
I've been to Wyoming a couple of times because I go with Jeff for this big film festival every couple of years.
Oh, did you hike there?
I do love hiking there, but you know what I really love about Wyoming?
The majestic Wind River Range.
What I really love most about Wyoming is cowboys. You put a pair of cowboy boots on an ordinary man, and you know what happens, Mendy?
Yeah, you can no longer talk politics with him.
That would not stop me from talking politics. Nope. You put a pair of cowboy boots on your guy, and he turns from an ordinary boy into a friggin' movie star.
Yosemite Sam?
No. Brad friggin' Pitt.
Oh, I know that story. Hey, you got to tell all of us that one sometime.
I'll tell that one in the celebrity episode. That one's coming up soon. So anyway, they were hiking the Wind River Range.
Well, they were just car camping that first night. They didn't go that deep into the wilderness yet. They decided to check out the little town of Lander first.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an interesting mix. There were tourists who were there because it's a pretty well-known entrance to the Wind River Range, and serious backpackers, too, because it's the home of the National Outdoor Leadership School, NOLS. There's also a big native population because the Wind River Reservation is nearby.
Cool. It's the true rich Wyoming culture, not just like Jackson Hole's Little Hollywood.
Right. And it's a big ranching center, so of course, there's cowboys. And they're walking around checking out the sights when they meet a couple of gorgeous ladies.
Okay, hold on. Were they tourists? Were they like cow women? Is that what you call them? You don't say cow. I guess you say cowgirls, but
That's diminutive.
yeah. Or were they like the kind of crunchy Colorado cool outdoorsy types? Or are they like getting a doctorate in glamping at Knowles?
None of the above. I mean, they were kind of tourists. They were on tour. They were traveling around booking gigs in the Midwest.
Country singers?
Exotically dancing.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do they get those tassels going?
I don't know. Andrew said that one of them was actually complaining about the nipple chafing.
Ow. So is there a lust connection? Because I'm worried about Gary's good woman who is hard to find. Unless this is part of their agreement. I don't want to make assumptions.
No. He said it was just one of those lovely little temporary friendships you have when traveling. Like our airport friends, Bree, but they're cowboy town friend.
I find my cowboy town friends at the Whole Foods.
That's a grocery store friend, Bree.
Not when it's Harrison Ford, my favorite space cowboy.
Are you going to name drop over this whole episode?
Depends on what else comes up. Okay, tell me all about the exotic dancers and Gary and Andrew?
Well, they just hang out all day, and then the women invite Andrew and Gary to their show that night. And they get to hang out backstage before the show. They smoke a little Mary Jane, and then the girls go on stage. And he said they were quite talented, and the dancing was indeed exotic. The bar closes, and they walk out with their dancing pals. Everyone coming out of the bar is a little soused. Well, really soused. And a couple of locals try to pick a fight.
Did something provoke the fight, or were the locals just ticked off that these out-of-towners were hanging with the pretty ladies?
He doesn't know why. He thinks it's just what you do in Lander, Wyoming when the bars close. And Andrew says that back in the day, he would be all about a little throat punch. But he's a changed man. And Gary suggests that they, quote, turn their backs on them. An honorable man won't punch you in the back.
He's making a bold assumption about these mountain men.
Right? And Andrew is skeptical too, but Gary's reputation for getting out of sticky situations was legendary. He was charming, handsome, personable. He had a good head on his shoulders. He had excellent situational awareness. He was good at recognizing trouble when it develops. And the suggestion worked. Hot tip, listeners, you simply turn away. They turned the other cheek and headed back to their car campsite.
That was very Christian of them.
WWGD. What would Gary do? They're pretty hungover when they wake up the next morning, so they get a late start on the trail, but they continue with a plan to hike deep into the range. The sun is low in the sky when they arrive at their site, and the clouds are starting to gather. And they set up near a little alpine lake that he said was teeming with cutthroat trout. They get all set up, and then, he says, they fish their full heads off, planning to have their bounty for their dinner. The fish were small, so they had to catch like 1 million of them to make enough for dinner. They're reeling in Mep spinners, black beetle spins, and panther martin bastards.
How do they come up with these names?
I know, right? What did that fish do? And since it was Gary's birthday...
Wait, it was Gary's birthday?
Yes! Andrew offers to get started on dinner while Gary continued reeling in fish like it was going out of style. It had started to rain lightly, and it was getting dark when Gary finally quit fishing and joined Andrew at the cook stove. And Bree, as you know, this is bear country. Black bears are common, and the Wind River Range is also inhabited by grizz. But Andrew says everyone knows that raindrops are more dangerous than bears.
I have never heard that before.
Yeah, I've never seen a raindrop rip out an esophagus. So they move their cooking operation to just outside the tent and stay relatively dry, just reaching out through the door to cook their panther martin bastards as the aroma wafted into the tent and infused everything with eau de trout.
Oh, Mendy, I gotta tell you something. That is a mistake.
And by the time they finished dinner, it was completely dark and raining hard. They were exhausted from their exotic dancing adventure and their hike, and they were gorged on those panther martin bastards. So they tuck into their sleeping bags and call it a night. Andrew said, I had time to reflect on the wisdom of anointing ourselves with all things fish when camping in bear country. Fish entrails, fish bones, fish slime, fish oil, you name it. It was on our hands, our clothes, probably even in our hair. And just as they've fallen asleep...
A thunderstorm?
Not just any storm. The lightning is so bright, it seems to be going off inside the tent, and thunder is crashing simultaneously with the flashes.
Do you remember being a kid and freaking out when the lightning and the thunder were right up on top of each other?
Yeah, Minna was right up on top of me.
Oh, just thinking about this makes my Oura ring send me those stress signals.
Right? And in the middle of the night, Andrew awakens to the menacing sounds of guttural growling and snorting nearby.
A bear.
He's frozen. He waits a few minutes, and the animal seems to get louder, closer. incredibly close.
Oh, God, why did they cook that fish so close to the tent?
Practically inside the tent. Gripped with fear, he nudges Gary and announces, "Gary, there's a bear outside our tent." Whereupon, the bear goes silent.
Oh, good.
Andrew realizes that the bear was, in fact, Gary snoring like a drunken sailor because the snarling and chuffing abruptly stops when Andrew rouses him.
So, not a bear. At least not yet.
Andrew's like, "Ha!" And he's super relieved that despite transforming themselves into bear bait at dinner, they were not going to be devoured. And he promptly dozes right back to sleep.
He better not get too comfortable smelling like bass water number 9.
Well, Gary, however, is now wide awake. He was just woken up and told there's a dang bear out there. And, on high alert, clutching his sleeping bag up under his chin, furtively scanning the tent, eyes darting, when the tent shudders. Just slightly at first, like it was breathing. Then Gary hears a soft, dragging scrape along the side, slow and deliberate, followed by a sudden, rhythmic thud.
Oh, God, you know what it is, Mendy?
What?
It's a grizzly, because they are smart. They will hunt a man.
The nylon puckers inward with each press as if something heavy is testing it. He can tell the fabric is straining under unseen weight, and he hears the steady beat of a presence that wasn't supposed to be there. Bree, what would you do?
Well, I wouldn't have made the mistake of smudging my tent with fish entrails to begin with, so I wouldn't have been in this situation. But what did Gary do?
Oh, well, Gary, calm, wise, problem-solving Gary, did the logical thing. He kicked the bear.
No!
He went apeshit.
You mean bear shit.
Andrew wakes up to Gary kicking the side of the tent and screaming like a banshee. And Andrew's like, "Oh, shit, there really is a bear."
I told you.
He joins in kicking and screaming. And Bree, listeners, just take a second to visualize kicking while being constrained in a sleeping bag. It probably looked like someone trying to breakdance inside a burrito, specifically doing the worm.
So, Mendy, I know that at least one of these guys lives to tell this tale, so how do they escape this angry grizzly?
Well, everything goes silent. But they're on high alert. Have they successfully fended off a bear attack? These two little, conveniently wrapped double packs of fish sticks? They weren't sure what the status of the situation was, so they stayed awake for a long time. But eventually, they passed out. The next morning, they wake up groggy, voices hoarse, and throats stinging from all the screaming, every muscle stiff from a night spent braced for having their intestines ripped out through their belly buttons. The morning air is sharp. The forest is unsettlingly quiet. Gary unzips the tent with the caution of disarming a bomb, and they venture out, eyes scanning for paw prints, torn fabric, maybe even a bear still lurking nearby. But all they see are puddles, scattered leaves, and a single sodden tree limb, heavy with rain, hanging low and swaying gently in the breeze. It had been thumping against the tent all night, rhythmic, deliberate, perfectly timed to their panic and sleeping bag breakdancing.
There was no bear?
There was no bear. Just a couple of guys who'd conjured a bear attack out of Gary's sleep apnea and a particularly theatrical tree branch.
Well, that was awkward.
I'm really glad that they were safe, but I think I would have been kind of disappointed to find out that it wasn't actually a bear.
Yeah, to be able to say you fended off a bear attack is great, but also saying you fended off a tree branch is great for our podcast.
So did they head into town to fumigate their tent with industrial-strength Lysol?
No, they kept going deeper into the woods, and later they would get lost, and they kept going. They traveled into Montana, they visited a friend there, they did a little canoe trip from Jackson Lake into Snake River. They had a blast. Gary went on to marry that wonderful woman he was moving to Phoenix for, and Andrew soon thereafter moved to Boulder, Colorado, and still lives there, biking, hiking, skiing, and, of course, fishing.
You know I love a happy ending, Mendy. So does he have any advice for us?
Yeah, don't turn yourself into bear bait if you want to avoid a bear. And for the record, they quit slathering themselves in fish gack when they were bear packing in bear country after that perilous turned awkward encounter. And they haven't smoked dope with strippers in their dressing rooms since.
I get that though, Mendy. Like if you're not used to real bear country, it would be really easy to make that mistake. I mean, if the wind had been blowing in a different direction, they would have been fine.
I think it's really that hangover hungry.
Mm-hmm. In case Gary and Andrew are listening, I want y'all to know that I made a similarly dumbass mistake the last time I went to Wyoming.
Oh, please tell us.
Okay, don't tell Jeff. So I went on a hike into the woods by myself
Ew.
in the late afternoon in October.
Isn't that when the bears are trying to snack up for winter?
With no cell service and no gun.
Bree, can you even shoot a gun?
Not with my astigmatism.
Oh, you could just shake the gun at the bear.
And no bear spray.
Oh, Bree. Please tell us something stupid you took with you in place of one of those safety devices.
I took my journal and I took my coloring pencils.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I won't do that again.
Good.
Mendy, what would you do in this situation?
Oh my gosh, I'd go apeshit just like they did.
What would your imaginary friend Dana do in this situation?
Oh, Dana would march right out there and fight that bear face to face like a real woman. And then she'd skin that bear, take the hide into town, find a local furrier, and get that trophy turned into an exotic dancing outfit. And she'd be like, "F these woods. I'm going on tour with the girls."
What a great story. Thank you so much for sending in that story, listener.
Yes, thank you.
I'm glad that you're safe from the bear.
So, Bree, you've told me before that, talking really loud in the woods will scare a bear away.
Yeah, you can, bang things together or something, or you can talk, or you can sing a song.
Ah, well, listeners, here's a little bear repellent for you. On an adventure, Andrew went.
Hung with some strippers and pitched a tent.
But oh, what a frightful night they spent.
Well, that was awkward. So if you're headed to the great outdoors,
don't make yourself smell like bear whore dwarves.
Or you'll wonder all night if that snore's a roar. Mendy, you smell good. Is that Chanel number 5?
Thank you. It's actually Heinz 57.
Well, that was awkward.
Do you remember that stuff? What's in it?
Yeah, probably garlic powder and salt.
Is it Worcestershire? Worcestershire?
I don't know why that's cracking me up so much. This has been an Awkward Sage production. Can you just say Worcestershire?
Yeah.
One more time?
Worcestershire?